Let's try this again. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. I don't know why my mic settings keep getting changed, by the way. I don't mess with it.
I was like, I could not hear this guy.
But yeah, welcome into another edition of Prime Sports World. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point Huffman. And right there is the CEO of Prime Sports World, Mr. Israel Rivera. We're actually going to bring you a double dose of Prime Sports World today, as we're going to later on in the evening, we're going to be bringing you the crossover, breaking on some latest stuff going on in the National Basketball Association. But this show right here, this is the fantasy football show. Hopefully get your lineups looking tight as we get down the stretch here of the regular season in most fantasy leagues.
Everybody, I want David.
Subscribe.
I want David to admit that I bested him this week. I bested you, David.
You did beat me.
I bested you this week. And you know what? Hey. And it came down to that man, Devontae Adams, had himself a hell of a game.
I had such a good record in the AJ Money League. And Alvin Kamara has just basically screwed me the last 3 weeks. I was winning my division, and like I had a really good record, and then Alvin Kamara just took a crap on my roster. Like, for real. Like, he's been so bad the last month. Like, he's
been sitting on my bench the last couple weeks in another league, so
like he's been borderline unstartable, like, for real. Like,
absolutely. I don't know if it's personal. I don't know if it's just because their schedule's a little difficult coming down the stretch here, but he has not been good.
No, I rode with him because I drafted him in the first round. You got to roll with the guys that brought you there. But yeah, he single-handedly made me lose the last 3 matchups in a row. I was sitting pretty. I was like a lock for a playoff spot.
Lack of a wide receiver threat, lack of a quarterback threat. Everybody could just stack their defenses in the box on Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, and Devontae Adams single-handedly beat me. Like, when I was
single-handedly.
I was sitting pretty after the first the first set of games, like, because the Cleveland Browns defense put up like 40 points in that league. And I'm like, oh, I'm Gucci. And then Devontae Adams just like, I'm watching that on Red Zone too. I'm just like, man, like, he single-handedly decimated my team. Like, yeah,
Devontae Adams just went to
yeah. But it is what it is. But yeah, this is our fantasy football rankings show. We're going to give you our rankings for week number 14. It's the last week of the regular season for many fantasy leagues, including most of the ones that me and you are in. I still got a chance to make the playoffs in AJ's league. I need to win and a lot of help. So we'll see how it ends up checking out. I'm pretty good in my league. We're all on the same record in my league.
Hey, I just want to let you know, this week I'm throwing the curveball because the guy who's playing against me, he's probably gonna be pissed off if I win. But I am starting Tyler Huntley over Mr. GOAT himself, Tom freaking Brady.
Well, we'll get into those rankings. Let's talk first about those quarterback positions. Ranking quarterbacks, number 1, I got Josh Allen as he looks to get revenge against the New York Jets. Number 2, I got Jalen Hurts. 3, Joe Burrow. Is that right? Hold on a second.
Looks right.
Yes, it is. Okay, good. I couldn't remember if I had updated this from last week. 3, Joe Burrow. 4, Kyler Murray. I know I'm pretty high on Kyler Murray, but he got DeAndre Hopkins. I don't expect anybody to be able to stop DeAndre Hopkins in New England this week. 5, Patrick Mahomes. 6, Kirk Cousins. 7, Derek Carr. Sneaky good matchup there for Derek Carr. 8, Jared Goff. 9, Dak Prescott. I do not think Dak Prescott will have to have an all-time great performance in order to beat the Houston Texans. I think they'll lean a lot on that running game there in Dallas. And then 10, Justin Herbert. And then my outside looking in, I got Tua Tagovailoa, Geno Smith, and then number 3, Trevor Lawrence. And then my sneaky and daily is the same guy as it was last week, Jared Goff, 5,600, going up against the Minnesota Vikings. I think there could be a mini shootout in that game. So look for Jared Goff to have a good performance there in fantasy in DraftKings. Looks like we lost Izzy there for a second. Hopefully he'll jump back into the show. So I got Tua Tagovailoa, Geno Smith, Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, my sneaky and daily picks. I think Josh Allen bounces back or gets revenge a little bit on the Jets team that beat him a couple weeks ago. And that's my outside looking in. There's my sneaky and daily, Jared Goff at 5,600. That's the same guy I had last week as my sneaky and daily as well.
Yeah, love all that.
And I might be a little high on Kyler Murray. It's true.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you are a little high on Kyler Murray. He's got himself a tough. Who are they playing again this week,
No,
David?
New England. New England.
New England. There we go. There we go. I can't look up. I tried to pull up my schedule and then I got kicked out.
It's okay.
So yeah, they're playing New England, which is going to be a tough task for them. But the one thing that the Cardinals do got going for them is that they're going against a horrible offense.
Yeah.
Which so that defense might be on the field a little longer than they want to be. At number 1, I got Jalen Hurts. Number 2, Joe Burrow. Yeah, I think Joe Burrow's gonna have a good matchup against Cleveland this week. At number 3, I got Justin Herbert.
I think Joe Burrow is also looking to get some revenge against the team that bested him earlier in the season.
Yes, absolutely. At number 4, I got Pat Mahomes. 5, Josh Allen, and then 6, I got Tua Tagovailoa. Number 7, I got Dak Prescott, who, he's been a top 10 guy, but I mean, he's been, he's not been the Dak of old, right? He's been kind of a middle of the pack kind of Dak. I'm used to Dak being top 4 kind of fantasy quarterback. He's been, 7 to 10 range, in my opinion. At number 8, I got Geno Smith. Number 9, Kirk Cousins. Then at number 10, I do got Kyler Murray. He is a top 10 quarterback. I just don't have him as high as you do. Then my outside looking in, Jared Goff. I think that's going to be a shootout between him and Kirk Cousins. And then I got Derek Carr and Ryan Tannehill running out my top 13. And then my sneaky and FanDuel is Mr. Irrelevant himself, Brock Purdy, 6,500. I know he's got a tough matchup going up against Tampa Bay, but I just feel like if they give him, they say, look, we're going to give you the keys to Ferrari, just don't crash it. You got a good running game, got a good offensive line. You should be able to win this game if you just don't make any mistakes in the passing game when we do call your number, which I do think they will call his number. Just game manage. Make sure you're accurate with the football. I think Brock Purdy can get in that red zone and get you a score or two, either on the legs or in the air. And then, if you're looking at another guy in FanDuel, he was a little higher. I mentioned him earlier. I'm starting him this week, actually. Tyler Huntley at 7,000 in FanDuel. He's up there with some other guys, but 7,000 is still cheap for a quarterback in FanDuel. I think Tyler Huntley, has a decent matchup. I believe they're going against the Pittsburgh Steelers, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I think Tyler Huntley is going to give you some, and we have seen he has been productive as a starter. 1 or 2 times when he did start. So he'll give you some on the ground, definitely in the red zone. I don't expect much through the air because, same thing with Lamar Jackson. Doesn't really have that many weapons outside of Mark Andrews. But I think, on the ground, he'll give you a couple run scores in the red zone, just like Lamar Jackson.
Tyler Huntley is also very cheap on DraftKings as well, 5,500. But he's cheaper than Tom Brady, who I'd rather have him over Tom Brady. I'd rather have him over Mike White. I would rather have him over Deshaun Watson. So I think that's a pretty solid call on the Tyler Huntley. Although that Pittsburgh Steelers defense has been better as of late.
Yes. No, and it's the same thing in FanDuel. All those players you just mentioned, they're all in that same salary range as Tyler Huntley. And I'd rather have Tyler Huntley over all those guys, in my opinion. When you look at Tom Brady, he's going against a defense that is probably next to the Cowboys and Philly. They're probably one of the best defenses in the league. Definitely the best run defense in the league. So, and we saw last week against the Saints, despite, the last, 5 to 6 minutes of that game, Tom Brady kind of struggled against the Saints team, against a guy like Cam Jordan. Now you're going against a guy like Nick Bosa.
I agree with you on all those points. Moving on from the quarterback position, let's talk about those running backs. Let you go first with your running backs.
All right, number 1, man, Josh Jacobs. Man, he's been on a tear this week. I look for him to continue his streak this week. At number 2, I got Derrick Henry going up against Jacksonville. Number 3, Nick Chubb. I think for the Browns to be successful against the Cincinnati Bengals, I think they're gonna have to put the ball in Nick Chubb's hands. I think when you look at Deshaun Watson, he was rusty. He hasn't played in 700 days or whatever. But I think to help out your rusty quarterback, you got to give it to your top 5 fantasy running back and Nick Chubb. I think they do that. At number 4, Austin Eckler. I A lot of guys had him at number 1. I have him at number 4. I don't really see him with the number 1 value this week. Strike me. I forget who they're playing. I can't see it in my.
They're going up against the Miami Dolphins.
There we go. Going against the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, who have that's the reason why he's number 4 for me. Miami Dolphins have a top 10 run defense. So against the run, they're stout. I could see only value with Austin Eckler, which I mean is very possible. Is PPR, him catching the ball out the backfield. Number 5, Christian McCaffrey. Number 6, Ramondre Stevenson. Number 7, Dalvin Cook. Number 8, Tony Pollard. Number 9, Saquon Barkley going against the Philadelphia Eagles. I know that they sold up their run defense, but it's still a divisional game. I think it's going to be a little bit of nasty in that game, as Greg Popovich likes to say. So give me Saquon Barkley at number 9. And right on my top 10, I got Joe. Give me some mix or something. Mixon, baby. Nixon, whatever the hell. Joe Mixon at number 10. Going up against the Cleveland Browns. And then on outside looking in, I got Travis Etienne, Miles Sanders, and Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard's teammate. Zeke has scored a touchdown in the last couple games, if I'm not mistaken, in the red zone.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so, I expect Zeke to – I mean, he's not the breakout running back like Tony Pollard is to bust one anymore, but definitely in the red zone, Zeke is still a strong runner. And in FanDuel, Michael Carter's cheap at 6,300 for the New York Jets. I expect him to come back and get a bulk of those carries, even though I know Xavier, what the hell is his last name, David?
Knight.
Yeah, Xavier Knight. I know Xavier Knight is still going to be involved in the offense, but Michael Carter, I think, will return to his normal role this week for the Jets.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, actually. Moving over to my rankings, number 1, I got King Derrick freaking Henry going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, a game that Tennessee kind of needs to win now to stay afloat in the upper echelon of the AFC. He usually destroys the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look for him to have about like 250 yards rushing in this game. Number 2, I'm also rolling with the hot hand, Josh Jacobs, who's been on a tear this season, making the Raiders kind of regret not giving him that 5th-year option earlier this season. Number 3, I have Tony Pollard at number 3. I think if you're going to beat the Houston Texans and beat them good, you're going to run the football. Tony Pollard has been awesome this season. 4, Austin Eckler. 5, Dalvin Cook. 6, Miles Sanders. 7, Ramondre Stevenson. 8, Nick Chubb. 9, Christian McCaffrey. I think if the San Francisco 49ers want to win this game, it's going to be a heavy, heavy dose of Christian McCaffrey. 10, Travis Etienne, especially in PPR leagues. Then my outside looking in, DeAndre Swift, Joe Mixon, and James Conner. You could easily switch James Conner with Saquon Barkley, but I think James Conner is going to have a better game than Saquon Barkley. It is a bold move to leave Saquon Barkley out of my top 15, but that Eagles defense is tough, and I also expect the Giants to be playing from behind. I think they may have to abandon the run in that game a little bit. And then my sneaky and dailies, James Cook at 4,600 has been more involved in the running game every week over the last couple weeks. Just look for him to continue to be more involved in the offense as they look to run the football a little bit more in Buffalo. James Cook.
I love your sneaky and daily, by the way. I love James Cook. He's getting the usage. He's a stronger runner than Devin Singletary. The only thing that's killing me with James Cook is that when they get in the red zone, they're giving it to Devin Singletary. I don't know why, but if James Cook could just get that rushing touchdown, he'd be in the top 10. 100%. Like, I think, in fantasy running backs. Absolutely.
Moving on from running backs, let's talk about them wide receivers. My number 1 wide receiver is the guy that buried my fantasy team last week, Davante Adams. Las Vegas Raiders going up against the Los Angeles Rams on Thursday Night Football. Look for Davante Adams to cook up whoever decides to be guarding him there in Los Angeles. 2, A.J. Brown. I just think he's a bad matchup there for the New York Giants. 3, Stephon Diggs. 4, Justin Jefferson. 5, Tyreek Hill. 6, DeAndre Hopkins. I do not think any of those young corners in New England are going to be able to stop DeAndre Hopkins. Look for him to have a big game. 7, CeeDee Lamb. 8, Amon-Ra St. Brown in a game that I think will be a shootout between the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. 9, Jamar Chase. 10, Christian Kirk. I don't believe at all in the secondary of the Tennessee Titans. Look for Jacksonville Jaguars and Christian Kirk to put some points on the board in that game. That game could be a mini shootout too. Outside looking in, Tyler Lockett, Mike Evans, Deebo Samuel. Even though Deebo has been awfully disappointing the last few weeks, I'm still rolling with him. He's still the 49er wide receiver I'd want, but it is it is much closer than it should be. And then my sneaky and daily is Michael Gallup, 4,600. 2 touchdowns last week. Dak's obviously looking for him, even though I do think that'll be a run-heavy game for Dallas. But Michael Gallup will probably get in the end zone at some point during that game. And I wish I had started him last week against you because I did. I started George Pickens over him, and that did not work out in my favor whatsoever.
Backfired.
Michael Gallup at 4,600.
Yes. Michael Gallup had a touchdown last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Two touchdowns last week.
2 touchdowns last week. And number 1, Justin Jefferson.
He had 16 fantasy points. George Pickens had 0.3.
I mean, I don't know. You lost by, I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. Yeah, you lost by like more than 20-some points.
I know.
At number 1, Justin Jefferson for me. I just think that Minnesota-Detroit game is going to be a shootout. And there's like Justin Jefferson's the best wide receiver on the planet right now. So, yeah, and he's literally unguardable. You can throw anybody on him, and he's still going to get his. Justin Jefferson at number 1. And number 2, Tyreek Hill. He just has that breakaway ability, and I do love that matchup that he has this week going up against the Los Angeles Chargers, who have been a little suspect on defense, more than suspect on defense. Number 3, Devontae Adams. Number 4, Jamar Chase. Number 5, Stephon Diggs. Yeah, I mean, I'd have Stephon Diggs a little higher. He's in my top 5. But he's going against the Jets, who have been improvement on defense so far 100%. This year. Number 6, AJ Brown. Yeah, I do love that matchup against the Giants. I don't think anybody can cover AJ Brown. He's just too physical for them. At number 7, I got Amon-Ra St. Brown on the other side of the coin of that. I think high stakes, high octane matchup. I think that game might be in the 30 range. Between Detroit and Minnesota this week. At number 8, I got DeAndre Hopkins. Yes, I agree with you. I think DeAndre Hopkins, he would be a little higher. I just think other players have some better matchups this week. New England's been okay. Have been pretty good defensively. But you're right. They do have young corners. One thing, Kyler Murray, he's been a little inconsistent this year to get, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, he's going to give him the ball regardless. But, I mean, it's just been a little inconsistent. If anybody can take some players out of their game, it's Bill Belichick. Number 9, I got CeeDee Lamb. Number 10, T. Higgins. I'm put him in the top 10 with Jamar Chase. I just think that's a good matchup for that Bengals offense against that Cleveland defense. Even though I know Cleveland's defense had a good week last week. I'm outside looking at. I got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett's teammate. You had Tyler Lockett, and then Jalen Waddle and Keenan Allen. This week going up against Miami. And then for FanDuel, I got DJ Shark at 5,700. Yeah, I just, like I said, I love that matchup. DJ Shark had 98 yards last week, if I'm not mistaken, just didn't have the touchdown. And he got an abundance of targets. He had like 10 targets last week. So I expect
going up against his former team, so kudos to him.
Yeah, and I expect DJ Shark to continue that against Minnesota. As more, I continue him to keep that against Minnesota because they'll try and game plan more against Amon-Ra St. Brown, which would leave him open on certain plays, in my opinion. So I like DJ Shark at 5,700. Roll the dice on him.
I like that prediction too. That's nice. I think that Minnesota Detroit Lions games will be. Everybody's going to be eating in that game. That's what my opinion is.
Me too. Yep. Absolutely.
From wide receivers to those other pass catchers, the tight ends. Let you go first with your tight end rankings.
Tight ends. Oh, yeah. Number 1, do I have anybody else other than Travis Kelce? No, I don't. Number 2, Mark Andrews. Number 3, I got TJ Hockenson, another playmaker in that Minnesota-Detroit game. At number 4, we're over here naming all these playmakers on Minnesota-Detroit, David, and what if it ends up being a dud? I'd be so mad. I'll be so mad. And number 4, I got Pat Freiermuth, who has, been a top 5 tight end so far this year with Kenny Pickett at the helm. At number 6, number 5, I got Dalton Schultz. Number 6, George Kittle. Number 7, Gerald Everett.
Don't you be disrespectful. Call Dalton Schultz by his real name.
Oh, Dalton Schultz. I'm sorry. Bobby Schultz's cousin, Dalton Schultz, baby. And number 6, I got George Kittle. George Kittle takes a hit. If Jimmy Garoppolo's playing in this game, George Kittle's probably my number 4, number 3 tight end this week. But he's got Brock Purdy throwing him the football. So George Kittle takes a hit. He's at number 6. Number 7, I got Gerald Everett. Number 8, Greg Dulcich. who's silently had a good year for the Broncos in that abysmal offense. At number 9, I got Foster Moreau. And right now, my top 10, I got Evan Ingram for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then I'm outside looking in. I got Dawson Knox, who's red zone tight end, red zone touchdown dependent. Hunter Henry, who it seems like in games with New England, like I think he's literally like next to Jacoby Myers. He's literally their other best like pass catching option. And in some games, like
100%.
he looks like he's ready to pop somehow. I think this game he'll get a touchdown and he can pop in this game. And then Noah Fant for the Seattle Seahawks, who I think is another guy that's ready to pop as well. I think he gets a touchdown in this game. And if you're looking for a sneaky option, FanDuel, a cheap option, look at Cade Otton at 4,700. I love his target share with the Bucks, even though it was only like 4 or 5 yards here and there. I still love the target share that Tom Brady's been throwing at him so far. So he's upwards towards almost 10 targets last week, close to it. So I think this week he'll get the same amount of target shares as Tom Brady loves those tight ends. He's got a nice young one too.
As a quick spoiler, Cade Otton is my sneaky and daily as well at DraftKings, 2,800 for Cade Otton and DraftKings, stupid cheap, and he has a touchdown I think in back-to-back weeks. So yeah, Cade Otton is somebody I would definitely be targeting in FanDuel / DraftKings. 2 of my tight end rankings, of course. Number 1 is of course TJ. Travis Kelce. There's no way it'd be anybody else. Number 2 is TJ Hawkinson. Look for him to get a little bit of revenge against his former team that traded him away. They easily could have signed him or picked up his 5th-year option. They decided to trade him away instead. 3, Mark Andrews. 4, Dalton Schultz. Bobby Schultz's cousin, Dalton Schultz. Sorry.
Right.
5, Greg Dulcich. I agree with you. Greg Dulcich has quietly had a really nice fantasy season for an abysmal offense, but he's been the most consistent pass catcher for Russell Wilson. By the way, Russell Wilson's like insane cheap on DraftKings right now. So if you wanted to roll those dice with
nobody wants him. Nobody wants him.
Number 6, Pat Freiermuth. I agree with you. He's been really good under Kenny Pickett. Looks to be a really nice rapport there. 7, George Kittle. Yes, he definitely takes a hit with Brock Purdy as his quarterback. Everybody in that passing attack takes a hit with Brock Purdy as the quarterback. 8, Gerald Everett. 9, Austin Moreau. 10, Evan Ingram. And then my outside looking at Hunter Henry, Tyler Higbee, and Daniel Bellinger. I don't remember if you remember Daniel Bellinger at the beginning
New York
of the
Giants.
Season. Yeah, New York Giants. At the beginning of the season, he was a fringe top 10 guy. Got hurt. Should be coming back this week. So look for Daniel Bellinger to be a sneaky and daily too. Probably pretty cheap. Should be coming back off the IR. Should be playing for the New York Giants against the Philadelphia Eagles, and they need all the help they can get when it comes to the pass catchers there.
I love it, my friend. I love it.
Daniel Bellinger, number 3, am I outside looking in? And then obviously sneaky and daily, Cade Otton, 2,800 DraftKings.
That's going to be a competitive game between New York and Philly. Daniel Bellinger. No. You don't think? No, I think it is. It's an NFC East game. It's they play each other tough, dude. I think it's going to be competitive. I think Daniel Bellinger does have some fantasy upside this week. You think Philly's just going to blow him out?
Yeah, I think he has fantasy upside because he'll score a lot of points in garbage time. That's
all right. David disrespecting them blue Gambinos. Disrespecting them blue Gambinos over there, Christian.
Don't tell Christian off. Don't tell Christian off. I did not expect that game to be competitive. Moving on from that to the defensive rankings. Number 1, the Dallas freaking Cowboys. The Houston Texans allowed 30 points to the Browns defense last week. This is a much better defense than the Browns. So what do we expect? And Davis Mills is back being the starting quarterback for the Houston Texans. So I guess the Allen experiment is over there in Houston. Back in the saddle, Mr. Davis Mills is not going to matter. Cowboys, they're going to steamroll Houston. Look for them to have a good game. 2, Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, as I mentioned, not going to be a good game. Philadelphia's going to turn over Daniel Jones. He's going to remind him, hey, why they don't really want him to be their quarterback of the future. 3, San Francisco 49ers. That defense is going to pressure Tom Brady. The New Orleans Saints did a good job of getting after Tom Brady. This defense is even better than that. 4, Buffalo Bills. I think they get some pressure on Mike White. It is unfortunate Von Miller's now done for the season with a torn ACL. I had hoped he was going to be able to bounce back. That is not going to be the case. 5, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the rookie quarterback and Brock Purdy. That is a tough defense in Tampa. Outside looking in, Kansas City Chiefs going up against the woeful Denver Broncos offense. Seattle Seahawks going up against the Carolina Panthers. The Pittsburgh Steelers going up against Tyler Huntley and the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Steelers, who have been playing pretty good on defense ever since they got TJ Watt back, look for them to continue to upward trajectory potential. I actually picked them to win the game yesterday. So, Sneaky and Daily, I got the Steelers are also my Sneaky and Daily pick at 2,800.
Yeah. No, I think you know what, with San Francisco, I think a little high. Just because I think that defense will be on the field. There will be some 3-and-outs, back-to-back 3-and-outs with Brock Purdy at the quarterback position. We'll see what game plan Kyle Shanahan has if he runs the foot. I think he'll run the football, but he's going against the best, like one of the best. Not the best though, because that's San Francisco, but he's going against a good run defense. I mean, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can stop the run.
And not that many people know Tom Brady as well as Kyle Shanahan does. As you remember, he was on the losing end of that Super Bowl.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, number 1, Dallas, I agree with you. Number 2, Buffalo. Number 3, Philadelphia. Number 4, I got Kansas City a little higher than you. I just think going up against Denver, horrible offense, they're going to score a lot of points. Even though as good as Denver's defense is, I think they'll still put up points against Denver's defense, forcing Russell Wilson to have to throw the football coming behind and having those edge rushers rear their ears back. And they'll force them into a couple bad turnovers. I like Kansas City's defense this week. And I like their special teams. I think their special teams will get a touchdown this week. Who predict that? Number 5, San Francisco 49ers. Yes, I do think they're a top 5 defense this week. Probably should have them a little higher going up against Tampa Bay. But yeah, they're still top 5 defense. Like you said, you saw what they did against Tom Brady last week. The New Orleans Saints. San Francisco is better. On the outside looking in, I got Baltimore, Tampa Bay, and Seattle. Yeah, I got Baltimore on the outside looking in, ladies and gentlemen. Just due to the fact that I think that defense is going to have to step it up against Pittsburgh Steelers. And I do think that they know that that they need another win here. To keep to keep it going in the AFC North, as Cincinnati Bengals are. Kind of right there. I think they're tied, aren't they, David?
They are.
Or does Baltimore have a better? They are tied. So they got to keep.
The Ravens currently have the tiebreaker, I think.
Yeah, they have to keep up. They have to keep up with Cincinnati Bengals. So I think that defense kind of steps up their game this week against Pittsburgh and forces young Kenny Pickett in a couple bad decisions. And then my sneaky and FanDuel and my cheap option, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 3,900. Going up against a rookie quarterback, Brock Purdy. I don't think there's going to be good results. There, I think they could turn them over. I just think, anytime you got a decent defense like that going up against Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the NFL draft, it should be good things happening for your defense. I'd roll the dice at 3,900. That's pretty cheap at FanDuel.
Totally agree with you. And then one more thing before we get up out of the show. Fantasy highest score for this week. Last week, Devontae Adams was the highest scorer for fantasy this week at a solid 37.7 points in PPR league as he buried my team.
Yes.
Yes, it was a good time.
Yes, he did.
Very good time. But who do you think will be the number 1 scorer in fantasy this week?
Number 1 scorer in fantasy this week, give it to Justin Jefferson going up against the Detroit Lions.
I like that prediction, but I'm going to go with King Derrick freaking Henry. I think he'll have a massive game against the Jacksonville Jaguars as Tennessee tries to bounce back from getting curb stomped by the Philadelphia Eagles this past Sunday. Look for Derrick Henry to have 250 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns in that game.
3 tutties.
Yeah, he's going to have a monster game. And good luck to everybody in fantasy this week. Hopefully you get your victory so you make the playoffs. Hopefully, you're going to be continuing. In my league, I need to just win, and I think I'm in. In AJ's league, I need to win and then some help. So we'll see.
I am going for 8 in a row in AJ's league like I told him.
Man,
and I'm going to get the number 2 seed.
You haven't lost since Hopkins came back.
I know, because Hopkins and Adams are the perfect combination. And then Hopkins was out last week, and Devontae Adams picked it up. So I can only imagine what's going to happen this week.
Yeah, your team's been rolling, dude. Kudos to you. But yeah, I've been helping right there. Is the CEO of Prime Sports Women's Israel Rivera. Keep an eye out for our content as we're going to be doing the crossover here. Me and the co-host TJ Hopkins going to be running the crossover, talking about the Atlanta Hawks, talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, and talking about that new trophy in the National Basketball Association. Hopefully, you guys continue checking that game out. And we just lost Izzy, but it's all good. What do we do here at the Prime, my friend? That's right. We bring the heat.
Bring the heat, ladies and gentlemen. Bring me some heat, baby.
Let's go, baby. And we could use it here in Fort Wayne. It's pretty cold. But yeah, we'll be back here in about 20 minutes as we run the crossover episode. Izzy, you have a good night, my friend. I will see you tomorrow.
You too as well.
You doing the college football show on Friday?
Doing the college football show, me and Christian from the Daily Blitz.blog and Monday Evening Quarterback, baby. Got to shout him out on that. Yeah. We'll be going over the bowl games this week, a bowl season preview this week. So you guys don't want to miss that content as well this Friday, guys. So peace out and sayonara, suckers.
Peace out, man. I'll talk to you later, buddy.